Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rick, and hope you're having a good Labor Day weekend. Zion is a national park, and this is Zion Overlook, a short trail that leads to a beautiful, majestic vista. If you get there in the morning, it takes your breath away because it's just so beautiful. So if you're not a patient of mine and you don't follow me, please consider subscribing and hitting the alert bell to find out when I do my new videos. I am going to be taking my group to Zion for the second time now next week. We have been trying to train all summer. Well, at least since my last hike. I took an excursion group out to Bryce and it got me really excited. I signed up immediately for Everest Base Camp next April. Really, what I try to do is be healthy as possible, live disease-free. I have my challenges just like you guys. We always have to have a personalized approach, how to beat and neutralize those speed bumps that we get on the way to being 100 years old, or just on the way to being 70 years old with no diseases, minimal medications and procedures. Well, unfortunately, about 50% of the American population is overweight or obese, and that usually means a BMI of about 30. It's unfortunate. It's a challenge. The medical system can take care of you, but usually it's so truncated of a visit that you'll have to do it in stages, and nobody ever wants to go back to the doctor's office. I mean, people are hypertensive enough going to the doctor's office. That's called white coat hypertension. The general feeling is that I don't want to go to the doc's office because he'll give me bad news. And that's what we hunt for as coaches. We want to find the kinks in the armor, and we want to fix that so that you can live a healthy life and not see us anymore. But I think with the new age of eating on the run, sitting down for 8 hours to 10 hours, some people 12 hours a day, even working overnight when you're not supposed to be working, you're supposed to be sleeping. TV used to turn off at 11 and you get snow on TV. Now it's 24/7. And if you wake up middle of the night and you just flick on your phone, you can be really engrossed in the new Game of Thrones they're playing on Netflix. But bottom line is that we have a lot of challenges coming our way to give us constant signals of eat, sit, and gain weight. Our metabolism as humans is supposed to be finessed enough that it will protect us during starvation, during famine. Believe it or not, there are some cultures who have a built-in thrifty gene. If they get into famine, they can reorganize their metabolism and survive several months on just a little bit of sustenance. That's how genetically coded we are to survive. However, with modern technology, food processing, the availability of fast food, you don't even have to stand up to eat anymore. You can just go like this, grab something, go like this, and keep on driving. 30 seconds and you'll be complaining, where's my food? What I wanted to do today is unbox 3 things here. The signal that I was talking about earlier, especially if you're hungry, is a hormonal signal that's set by the body. Some of us who are carbohydrate dominant with our food, fast food, highly processed foods, sugars, or even fructose like in Red Bull, Monster, or just Coke. Those things with high fructose corn syrup, they taste great. Even your coffee has 500 calories, 50 grams of carbohydrate, 50 grams. In my current practice of carnivore, it's an experiment, but it seems to be working. Those of you who don't follow me, please click on the links down below to my previous videos. Cholesterol is just as good as when I was a practicing vegan, 2 to 3 years. I thought the plant-based athletes and plant-based practitioners are getting beat up by keto practitioners, PALEO practitioners, and the CrossFit community. So I joined the bandwagon as far as being plant-based, and it was pretty cool. Couldn't just be Dean Ornish, low-fat, all-plant. I had to adjust it to my liking because I'm an athlete and I love exercise. I love muscle building. I like endurance sports too, but more the easy endurance, like hiking at altitude, 14,000 feet for several hours with 40 pounds on my back. Because I've been magnetically attracted to that kind of pastime, even if you're 60 or 70, it's never too late. A study that I came across that was really impactful as far as do we do diet versus exercise, what kind of exercise is the best, and who lives the longest. I guess I might as well show you this now. It's a pretty interesting read. They essentially talked about comparing longevity and lifestyle changes, healthy lifestyle changes. Eating properly to endurance exercise to resistance exercise or endurance training and resistance training. Eating and those two alone. They found that when you did do a nutrition plan, just mindful nutrition, paying attention to what you're eating, it did help reverse your disease and prolong life. But exercise did better than diet. Part of that data crunching involves blood pressure, heart rate, BMI, fat percentage, percentage. I love DEXA scans, plaque imaging in the neck and in the heart, LDLs. I love to see triglycerides to HDL ratios. I like to see LP little a's, apoprotein B's, insulins. I think the more data you have, the better the direction is. Again, we're talking about signals now. In a microscopic sense, if you give your metabolism the wrong signal hormonally, you'll gain weight. You're not going to burn fat, you're going to build fat. A lot of my patients are struggling. We're going into fall, and it's going to be cold in Chicago. Everybody goes indoors for October, November, and December. There's hormonal signals that happen if you eat anything, and I'm going to eat this now. That's why I was dying to do this video so I could eat this. Those of you who don't know what carnivore is, great book. He's the first one I've seen who has broken down meat eating into several stages. I'm going to summarize this sooner or later, but I'm still going through it myself. The guys that are involved in resistance will always try to push protein. Protein doesn't have to be in meat form. It can be in plant form. It's just really hard to do that without pushing over into a lot of carbohydrates. When I was a vegan, I was able to avoid all meat. And I think I'm going towards the other end because there is no one diet that serves everyone. It has to be personalized. There's so many levers. Everybody has to have a personalized approach. I would always implement some form of exercise or movement first. And on top of that, I would start planning for the nutrition. If you're not driven and you have a whole bunch of shit going on and you're just busy and you got 3 kids you're taking care of or you're running a business or you're just trying to survive, I don't know that I would pull too many levers at the same time. One thing that you can do is control the signals in your life. Be choosy with what you eat. I find that when you have high protein, animal or plant, and then you have high carbohydrate, that could be a formula for disaster. If you have high protein and you lower your carbohydrates, I think you're better off. If you have high carbohydrates, try to lower your protein. But again, when you try to exercise, especially those of you who are 50, 60, or 70, you really have to have that signal of protein, especially between your workouts, to continue saying to the metabolism, do not break down muscle, break down fat. Not all carbohydrates are bad. I don't want to give carbs a bad note, but unfortunately they're enveloped in sugar, excessive amounts of glucose, sucrose, or fructose. And if you do have that signal, store fat, store fat, store fat, guess what you're going to break down? You're going to break down muscle. You can't do both at the same time. If you're going to break down nutrition, healthy nutrition, try to stay away from processed food, number 1. Try to stay away from sugar, number 2. And then if you can modulate how much protein and carbohydrate, let's just break it down into protein, fats on this side and carbohydrates over here. You just have to modulate your carbohydrates to be very complex, hard to break down. Pasta al dente, healthy essential fats, proteins that are easily accessible. Those signals that I make or I feed my stomach will usually keep me satiated for hours. When you have carbohydrates, they are healthy too, but they cause an insulin secretion from the pancreas. Carbohydrates always turn on insulin from the pancreas. When you have way too much of that stuff, you're going to tell the body to store and look for more. And that's why if you're having a bowl of ramen or you're having egg rolls, if you're having a lot of carbohydrate heavy foods, you're going to be satiated because you'll be full, but you're also going to be spiking your insulin to match all of that carbohydrate. For every carb, you have to have an insulin molecule matched together so that this combination can get out of the bloodstream into the cell. You have to dispose of the glucose. Well, when you have carnivore, there's hardly any glucose, if any glucose, and you don't have any insulin secreted. In this case, where I'm going to eat almond butter bombs. This is okay for keto practitioners. For 2 pieces, you can get 150 calories, 8 grams of carbs, 2 grams of protein, and 14 grams of fat. Looks like a candy. This is actually kind of big. I don't think I'll be able to talk and eat this at the same time, so I'm just going to have a tiny bite. The center is creamy almond butter. That's the fatty part. Tastes really good. One of the beauties of keto is that you can take advantage of keto-BOMBs. Those are desserts that are full fat. This is one of them, this picture here. Yummy. Here's another one that looks pretty yummy. There is another. There's another. Cheesecake. Ooh, I don't know what this is, but looks like ice cream. And something else. There are advantages to going keto. Why am I saying the bombs? Because sooner or later, no matter which nutrition practice, plant-based, high carb, with some protein sprinkled in, or carnivore, or paleo, or keto, you are going to get hungry one of these days. Although I think the satiety value for fat and protein is much higher than the satiety value of carbohydrate with high fiber. I know the theory was if you have a lot of fiber, it'll sit in your gut for a long time. That is true. But eventually that carbohydrate, even if it is complex fiber, will be broken down much faster than protein or fat. In fact, when you have protein or fat, the stomach can determine that it's protein or fat when it starts to churn, and it will slow down the whole system. Knowing that you have to keep that protein or fat in the stomach for a longer amount of time with the acid to break it down versus eating a high carb meal where you sometimes have to go within half an hour, pushing everything else that was there from the night before out. It hopefully didn't turn on my insulin. There's only 8 grams. These are keto cups, mocha, 110 calories per 1 cup, 7 grams of carbohydrate, 10 grams of fat, 1 gram of protein. So that's how that looks. And I'll probably just have a tiny bite of this. Tastes like coconut. That's really rich. That is good. Gotta be careful. If you have this for a snack because you're thinking you deserve it, that tastes even better than this. That's Love Good Fats. I buy this at Fruitful Yield. It has 190 calories in this one bar, 14 grams of fat, and 14 grams of carb. So this is a heavy carb signal. This is really good. I probably can't stop this. So that's how it looks. That is so soft. How they make this, but it's fluffy. Wow. I love the Love Good Fats one. Too many carbs though. My carb signal for the day gotta be 20 grams at the most. And now we're gonna talk about a different kind of signal. I talked about the bad things with excessive simple carbohydrates causing the wrong signal, mostly insulin, store fat signal, eat more in about half an hour signal. If you are plant-based or fat or animal-based, these signals are also important. I just did a video on leucine. Has a cheap substitute for branched chain amino acids. Especially for my older athletes or my older patients, we want to build muscle. If you are an old athlete, you'll be able to get your muscle going pretty quick. If you've never exercised before, this is going to be a journey. I'm going to be easy on you. And I'm not going to have you exercise like I do every day. I'm going to have you probably exercise, wait, watch, see how you do, rescue you if you're in too much pain, and then exercise again, maybe twice a week, in addition to walking and a couple other things. If you want walking to be equivalent to endurance training, you have to put on the intensity. Walking with intensity is endurance training. But walking with intensity means you have to have an angle like this, where you're walking up, or you have to have some kind of resistance like a backpack with weight in it, or you have to be pulling something. If you're just walking around the block where you can get a sentence out, but you have to take a break between sentences, that's fair. That is not the best, highest VO2 max that you can attain. I would push the hell out of your endurance. One of these days, something bad will happen to everybody. Hopefully it doesn't happen until you're 100, and hopefully it's not a car accident. If it is a medical disease and you, at the last minute, are told you probably could have beat the diabetes, but it's too late. It's never too late. However, it's much harder when you're in the midst of disease to start an exercise program. It might be easy to implement a nutrition program, but to start an exercise program, you got to divvy up a lot of time. Who has time, right? There's a cartoon that says, do you have time to exercise 30 minutes a day, or do you have time to be dead 24 hours a day? Try to invest, because it'll postpone the death signal. Best thing you can do on your own is actually exercise and eat healthy. The question about this healthy eating is really hard to surmise because there's so much information from left and right, but that's why you need a personal physician or a registered dietitian, a nutritionist to guide you along the way. If you look at the data, as long as you exercise, usually the day that you exercise, you are turning on a signal to the metabolism that this is preseason training. If the signal is strong enough, it will keep for about 48 hours to build muscle. Usually the opposite comes true too, burn fat. Because to build muscle, you have to take your energy source. It's from the fat. Bottom line is that when you're not exercising, between the exercise visits or the intense running or jogging or hiking that you're doing, one of those cheats or hacks is to have the protein signal. So if on the day that you don't exercise, you want to maintain, build muscle, burn fat, if you have an overwhelming amount of protein, whether it's plant or animal, you will also continue the signal of muscle building. And this one in particular is a branched chain amino acid, and this one has the highest signal of all branched chain amino acids to build muscle. It's called muscle protein synthesis. The only problem with this, I didn't say in my last video, is it stinks. This amino acid is nasty. So I tried to do this in water. No way. You have to have something flavored. I'm going to try with almond milk. I've done an unboxing on arginine and ornithine as a protein signal too. These are not BCAAs, but they are amino acids. And this combination of amino acids, if you take it on a regular basis, whether it's during the exercise or on days you don't exercise, will continue to get the signal for build muscle, burn fat. I had a patient tell me about this. You probably cannot read that, but it has leucine, just like this, at 3.5 grams. Just wanted to smell this. Much better than this. So they've already taken the 3.5 grams of leucine and put it into their product. Bottom line is that we talked about signals as far as fat, protein, carbohydrate. We talked about signals as far as exercise, and we talked about signals as far as protein. So all these things will hopefully be enough signals that you keep on throwing into your body to encourage metabolism to burn. This metabolism that we have is brilliant. If you think you're going to hack it, just eating and not doing anything, and you'll just take care of it when you get older, you're going to be really disappointed because you're just in for a lot of suffering. There's ways that the food industry will tempt you, but there's also ways that you can live through the temptation. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to be better than what we're being challenged by as far as industry, because industry doesn't care about you. Industry just wants your money. If you want to live a healthy life, maybe enjoy your great-great-grandkids. I think we have the potential for living a long life without medicine, surgeries, wheelchairs. And even if you have disease, I still say it's reversible. Hopefully this gives you a couple of ideas. I didn't mean to rant, but all this information out there needs a little bit of translation because everybody's confused. And usually when I take my patients into my office, I just have to have a whiteboard and I start to hear what they eat. I want to see pictures of what they eat. I try to put together a timeline of what's happening in the next couple months, what failed before, and then we kind of use Pollock kind of painting to put together a direction for them. And everybody's painting is different. So if you don't have a doctor, I can take care of you. Think about being one of my patients on my Herbal 411 website. New patient consult. This is not meant to be medical advice, so please take all this information, bring it to your doctor, and see how it pertains to you. Subscribe, it helps the channel. If you like this, then click the button, and then also share this with other people who might be on the fence or totally lost, and I'll see you at the next video. Thanks for watching.